Hello everybody, welcome to part 3 of the Tao of Peace stretching video series. I'm Instructor Ian with Instructor Brad. Don't mind us, we're just doing some joint locks. As you can see, Instructor Brad might be working some aggression out on my wrist, but that's okay, I can just shake it off. Huh? Oh god, my wrist! How will I ever hold a pencil again? Huh? Ugh, thanks Instructor Brad for that enlightening lesson in joint lock. But in all seriousness, wrist injuries are nothing to be laughed at. What could start as a tweaked wrist once in a while can accumulate and turn into something much more painful that can manifest in different ways. Yep, with one good punch, that tweaked wrist can scream in pain and really make it hard for you to punch properly in the future. But that's not the only activity where this could happen. Yeah, our knees requires diverse wrist movements in order to hit all those different angles, and the more your wrist moves, the greater chance you have in aggravating that injury. But what about something like general fitness, like you're doing push-ups to stay healthy and active? This is the most common time you're going to feel that wrist injury, guys. Anything that involves putting weight on the wrist, like doing push-ups or resistance training, and that can influence your health. So let's try and stem the problem before it happens. A sore wrist happens because your wrists are tight and they're not flexible. So let's do some stretching that's going to actually help them be supple and can handle the movements of joint lock. Okay, so we're going to start with our wrist extensions right now. You're going to put the palms of your hands on the ground, fingers pointed towards your knees, and keeping your arms straight, you're going to rock back, butt touching your heels. You're going to hold that stretch for about 10 to 30 seconds and then come back up. Next up, we're going to do some wrist flexions. So from here, you can make, sci-fi convention gang signs and put the back of your hands on the ground, fingers pointed towards your knees yet again. Keeping your arms straight and elbows ideally pointed towards your body, you're going to rock back yet again and hold that stretch for the back of your wrist for about 10 to 30 seconds. Afterwards, lean forward to disengage. The next course on this menu of stretching is another wrist extension. So we're going to put our hands down beside us and fingers pointing in the direction we're facing. Keeping the palms of our hands on the ground, we're going to rock forward with our arms straight. And try not to just feel the inside of your wrist, but try and also feel your forearms as you do this, because tight forearms can also lead to tight wrists. Hold this for about 10 to 30 seconds and then come back up. Now, pointing your hands in opposite directions, you're going to put them on the ground, palm down, and making sure your weight's evenly on both sides. From there, you're going to rock to one side, exclusively putting your weight on one arm, and then rock to the other side. Hold it for about 3 seconds before going to the other side, and do it 10 times both sides. Alright, so now we're going to make fists with our hands and put them knuckles down on the ground. From here, making sure your shoulders are over top of your wrists, you're now going to lean forward and try and tilt your fists so that the thumbs touch the ground. Hold that for a couple of seconds and then rock onto your pinkies. You're going to do that about 10 times in total. Now you're going to make fists once more, but from here, instead of going forwards and back, you're going to collapse your hands so that the back of the hands touch the ground, making sure that your weight is over top of your wrists as you do it. Hold it and then come back up to fists. Do it for about 10 times. If you want afterwards, you can hold it in with your knees on the ground, or if you feel adventurous and ready, you can go do it with your knees off the ground into a push-up position or a plank position. If you want more out of that, you can also try and do push-ups, but I do not recommend doing that until your wrists reach a certain level of flexibility. Our fingers are jelly, guys. They want in on the action, so let's give it to them. So from here, you're going to have just your fingers on the ground pointed away from you. Keeping your arms straight, you're then going to take the palms off the ground as you lean forward. You're going to feel a great stretch right in your fingers, and you want to hold that once again for about 10 to 30 seconds before returning back to your starting position. So now upon reaching the home stretch of our routine, we're going to finish with some movements. So from here, you're going to make fists with both hands, and you're going to try and draw circles with them and have them go in opposite directions. You're going to do 10 times one way, 10 times the other way, and you're just trying to focus on getting those wrists to articulate as much as you can. While you do it, you should look like a very unenthusiastic 1960s dancer. The end is nigh, everybody, so we're going to finish off by doing the lamest jazz hands possible. Making the tightest fists you can, you're then going to quickly extend them, shooting your fingers out as much as you can, and do about 10 times. From there, afterwards, revel in the newfound flexibility that your wrists have, and understand that by doing this regularly, you're going to stem wrist injuries. So there you have it, everybody. That is your wrist stretching routine that you can try and do before and after joint lock. I do want to mention that this is probably more of a preventative measure than it is an actual treatment for wrist injuries. If you have a sore wrist, you're best to try and just let it rest. That means if you are going to train, make sure you have it wrapped up in tape, and so it's hard for you to move your wrist. And if anything, it lets your partner know that they have to be gentle for joint lock and reminds you that you can't put too much weight on it. If you give it enough rest, it will hopefully get better, and that means you can do strengthening and the stretching routine to increase mobility. Aside from that, guys, keep it up, be safe, and let me know if this works for you. I'm really excited to hear from you. Take care and stay healthy, everybody. Namaste.